Hey family, it's Dr. Arianna here. Happy New Year to all of you guys. In this episode, my theme is around vision. I just, in the last couple of weeks, had bilateral cataract surgery. And when I tell you I was looking forward to this surgery, I was really looking forward to it because my night vision was crazy. And I was starting to not see things. And I was like, oh, this could be a problem. I was becoming increasingly uncomfortable with driving at night. And I've been wearing contacts my whole life since I was in medical school. And I've been wearing them ever since. It's just crazy because it's like, I don't have contacts in my eyes, but I can see. And not only can I see, let me tell you, I had my right eye done first. And so my left eye, I obviously could still see out of it, but I could tell that my vision really was hazy. It was as if I had this pair of cloudy glasses on. Like it wasn't quite like a sunglasses, but it was like you just couldn't, it was cloudy. It was like a brown haze is the best way I can describe it. And I was just tripping out. My husband was laughing at me because I was going around the house. I was like, oh my God, like this eye, I can see clearly. And it feels good. It feels so good to see. So in this episode, I'm talking about getting your 2020 vision, sharing some highlights and not so high moments of my 2025, but how I managed to manifest. And let me tell you, I didn't even get into this in the episode. I'm going to get into it now because I really didn't get into the details of truly what I got to manifest in 2025. Had an experience though in March. Joe Dispenza. I've mentioned him before. If you haven't heard of him, look him up. The Placebo Effect, Becoming Supernatural. Those are a few of his books. But anyway, he does these amazing retreats all around the world, and they really help you just tap into a whole different realm. And he explains it all through like how it neurochemically, neurophysically, how this is really all quantum physics, really. And then after the retreat, I decided for 30 days, I was going to meditate. And his meditations are not short. They're literally like an hour and 20 minutes, at least the one I was doing. It was the abundance meditation. And at some point during the meditation, I hesitate to even call them meditations because truthfully, they're more like, I don't want to say hypnosis, but he's talking and as you're listening, you're kind of literally kind of putting yourself into a trance state of consciousness and really being in the present moment and really experiencing whatever it is that you want to experience. So for example, I'll be very specific. While we were doing this, he's like, bring the event toward you. What's the event? So I was like, okay, well, let me think of some events that I want to bring toward me. And one of those things was, I was like, you know what I want? I want for a multi-million-dollar company who wants to enter into the menopause space to hire me as a consultant and for me to participate and for me to use all of this experience that I have and use it on a whole different level. That was literally what I kept saying in my abundance meditations. And you know where this is going. When I tell you that in October of last year, I get this random email and there's literally a request for me to participate in a 5-day program. They brought together all of these different experts from marketing to supply chain. By the end of the 5 days, we had created a commercial and it was insane. All I can tell you is I knew at that moment that we really do have the power to create anything we want in our lives. And that wasn't the only thing I manifested, but that was really cool. I talk about some of the other ones in this episode. So all that to say, y'all, 2026 is about having vision. It's about knowing what you want. And if you don't know, then at least invite possibility, which is simply asking the universe to show you what you need to see. Take away the things that aren't serving your vision and add whatever tools you need to see so you can experience your best 2026. No resolutions, just vision, y'all. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. As usual, please remember to share with a friend because friends don't let friends go through perimenopause, menopause life, or listen to podcasts without sharing. Just saying. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your love. Enjoy. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Stay Juicy podcast. I am your host, Dr. Arianna, and happy 2026. Happy New Year. We made it through 2025. For some of us, that might have been a lot. For some of us, that just might have been the best year ever. And I'm going to say, if I'm really honest, I haven't really felt like I've had some really good years. Like in the last decade, I can't say there was a year when I was like, yes. But 2025, I can honestly say was a yes. And so surprising. It's so surprising. For all the reasons I'm going to talk about, but also which inspires some of the thoughts that I want to share with you as you enter into your 2026. So as 2025 has closed, I really want to talk about vision. And I mean that literally, because this year ended with me literally having bilateral cataract surgery. That has been a journey. Let me tell you, it's the best. I was so excited to get the surgery. I'd never been so excited to actually have a surgery, but I was looking forward to it because I was looking forward to having my vision. And I knew that my vision was declining, but what I didn't realize until I had the surgery was how much I actually wasn't seeing until everything came back into focus. And that's the thing about clarity, right? It doesn't announce itself until it arrives. You don't have clarity until you have clarity. It's literally those like light bulb moments, and you don't know what you've been missing until the fog lifts or until something otherwise shifts. And so honestly, that realization mirrors everything that this past year has been about for me. And I started the earlier part of last year in March, basically what I call my road to 60. Whew, so I turned 59 last year, and I have to say, like, out of all my birthdays, I'm usually like, yes, I'm turning yes, and I'm just embracing it. But 59 did not, it did not hit me that way at all. I was like, wait, whoa, wait a minute now. That's 59, 60. That's 10 years from 70. This isn't making sense. This is not making sense because I just am like, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Like the concept is crazy to me. And it didn't become crazy until I was 59, because at 58, it didn't bother me. But 59, I was like, yep, it's coming. His birthday felt different. But ultimately, I ended up really embracing this year. And I am like so embracing 60 now. And I'm so glad it's coming, because I got to tell you, I was just like, wow. And this really is, this reminds me of exactly what happened when I went from 39 to 40. And I was like in this period of struggle where I was literally like, what is happening next? And are you like ready for it? What are you doing? Like, are you stepping up? Or are you just like hitting cruise control? Like, what are you going to do? And I had this like burning question in my soul, to the point where I literally left my house, lied. The whole story about the Scorpion Promises transformation, that story was about what happened when I went and visited a TP in Sedona, Arizona, because I was literally going through some midlife something. I didn't even know what that was. But I think this year is kind of like it was like a midlife shift. I think I'm beyond midlife. I don't know if I can keep saying that, but I will say I had a advanced midlife shift, and that evolving into 60 was different, and it took some work, and I did not start the journey as a willing participant, but it's been good. Again, it had this urgency. I really couldn't squash it. I just have things I need to know, I need to do, I need to see, I need to taste. Like, I have to feel all these things. Like, I'm recognizing like we only have so much time. And I think we all take that for granted, just assuming that we're going, to have a certain lifespan, which, is not an unreasonable assumption for most of us. But for the chosen, we're not going to have those moments. But for both of us, for all of us, we have to embrace the moments, because the future really isn't here. It's really never going to be here. You're always just in this moment. So anyway, before I go down that rabbit hole, getting back to this idea around turning 60, I really thought about it. I was looking back, and I'm thinking I spent decades just focusing on my career, raising children, holding responsibility, being reliable, being excellent. But if I am so honest, I have never spent time really centered and focused on me having fun and experiencing pleasure. That's just kind of has been, I'm going to say, an afterthought. Clearly I've had fun in my life, but I haven't focused on it. I haven't like made it my job. I haven't made it imperative. But as 60 is approaching, it's like no longer optional to me. It's not an indulgent. It's imperative. Now it is like I must have pleasure, I must have joy, I must have fun. Like I cannot describe it, but it is like in my spirit. And it is screaming very loudly. And the realization really challenged me because it really has forced me to also confront some old narratives, old excuses, old rules about, what is considered appropriate or what's allowed or what's too much and how old can you be when you do this thing or don't do that thing. It's really made me stop and think about a lot of this, but it also has given me some time to reflect on and just open my eyes to how much opportunity could still possibly exist. So this road to 60 has been real. Like I said, I started it with hesitation, but the closer I have gotten to it, the more liberated I felt. 2025 really was the magnet for all of it. So it, like I said, was the year where I made the biggest mindset shifts, biggest focus. It was a deeply spiritual year, and I went down some really interesting rabbit holes. I gave myself permission. So 2025 was actually one of the most challenging years of my life, even though it was one of the most gratifying and awesome. It started out great. Actually, that I did a podcast from the DR on my girls' trip. That's how I started out the year. In the DR, and we had laughter and ease and just that reminder that joy still exists even when you don't know what's coming next. And then in March, I pulled off, I say so myself, the most amazing 85th birthday party for my father. And just to have really watched him in that moment, the pride and the love and the humility that he had when he was literally given his flowers. He has been a part of an organization, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And really since the day I was born is when he entered in that organization. And it has been really one of the most important and impactful and just honorable things that he has done with his life and in his service to that organization, which really focuses on community service, in particular, just in supporting youth and mentorship and things of that sort. Lots of scholarship. But coordinating that gathering, getting relatives that literally came from thousands of miles away to surprise him was one of the best moments of my life. I had never seen my dad cry. He broke down and wept multiple times during the occasion. And it was an amazing moment. And again, it was in a room full of his peers, people that came again from thousands of miles to honor him and to say words, give him words of praise that he got to hear, not at his funeral, but at his 85th birthday party. Anyway, and, just watching parents age, that's kind of was the other side of this coin this year was just, my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's. My dad he had fallen multiple times now. And I think at some point that I wasn't even sure he was going to get to the birthday party with all the things that were happening. So I was just so grateful that it happened. And so that was challenging. Like it's been really challenging. I'm my only child, and managing aging parents is challenging. And this is a part of what this season is. I have leaned into it and not lamented it as much as, it's an honor, and it's fortunate that your parents, if they live this long, that you have that opportunity to still have the experience with them. And that just is what comes with the territory. But it definitely makes you approach my own mortality as I watch them age, and just watching that strength and that vitality that at the end of the day, we all will lose at some point. And then at home, there were still a lot of things. Our son was diagnosed on the autism spectrum at age 21. He's about to turn 23, but it has just, in a nutshell, been a journey. One of these days I'll delve into it more, but the bottom line is it was one of the most stressful parts of life that was lifing. And I had been really just trying to figure out how I could help him. I was feeling quite desperate, if I'm honest. And it was just such a heavy load I was carrying. And so in my mind, I knew what kind of program he needed. I was like, the program needs this, 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 and this. And and I guess part of me knew I wasn't looking hard enough, because if I had been, I would have found it. But I didn't find it. It found me. And again, this is when I get into a little more in the episode around just manifesting. Like, I just manifested it. And this year, more than anything, has shown me that we all really do have the power to create anything we want in our lives. You have that power. And when I tell you, I wrote down on a list, like, this is what he needs. I couldn't find it, but it was my prayer. It was my request to the universe. And it was my plea, frankly, to the universe. And I was in a meeting with some other business women, and, we talk about our personal lives a little bit, and we talk about our business mostly. But as I was sharing around the table what was happening, they were aware of it because we had been dealing with this for a few years. At the break, a woman walked up to me and she just gave me this piece of paper. I still have the piece of paper, and it says, Telos you. And she said to me, my niece went to this program. It saved her life. And I got goosebumps. I went home immediately, researched it. And when I tell you, the program had everything on the list that I had requested, plus a bonus that I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing, which has made it just actually the best program in the world, which is the mandatory family counseling that we have to have every week, which is great because it's like a mandatory time that you get to talk to your kid and work through understanding them as best you can. It's really a gift. But he's been there for 6 months now, and that has been life-changing because he previously was living at home, and like I said, it was a hard time. Him really being able to participate in that program and me being able to take that load off really allowed me, I think, to expand, because when you are going through a lot of things, like you only have so much capacity. So something has to give. And I believe that being able to get that capacity comes through our requests to be able to let something go, or to be able to receive whatever that thing is that we need to receive. But going through that with him, and then literally around the same time he was getting ready to leave for the program, my husband was diagnosed with bladder cancer. So there was a whole period of just like, what the hell are we doing? So it was a lot. But the good news is that there's a whole nother story around the actual diagnosis that he had, but I'll give you the short version. We were basically waiting to find out what the biopsy results were going to be. And I'm in a couple little girlfriend groups where, something happens, one of our kids or one of our parents or something. And we just were like, hey girls, just can you just keep me in your prayers, or can you just, think about me or lift me up? And so I was talking to a friend, and she said to me, we were talking about, putting that kind of stuff in our group chat. And she said, you gotta really be thinking about just asking people to pray for you, because what are they praying for? You need to make sure they are praying for what you're praying for. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So I was very, very clear in our chat. I had like 2 or 3 chats actually, because that was a biggie one. So that went out to all the different chats. And so I was like, okay, please, lift me up. And then I was like, this is what we are praying for. And I wrote in caps, low grade, non-invasive. I wrote it in caps on the text that I sent out. And long story short, when I got the results, which was like a drama getting the results, but at the end of the day, I asked the lady, just tell me the first line of the results, because I knew it was a pathology result. And if she could just tell it to me, I know that I'd be able to interpret it. And yes, you know where I'm going with the story. The first word she said was low grade, non-invasive. And I was like, okay, we're done here. And yeah, it was a moment. So being able to share that with my husband, and really to have had to stand in this gap of the doubt and really be firm in what intention was. And that is what we need to do when we're going through those challenging times, is not get so weighted or weighed down with the doubt or the fear or the uncertainty, and just be like, yeah, no, that's not what we're doing today. It's just not what I'm doing. So that's kind of how I literally was like, because so many other things were happening. I was like, yeah, we're not doing cancer. Like, no, not today, not tomorrow. I don't have time. So this is what we're doing. Low grade, non-invasive, and let's move on. So that's what we did. Hallelujah. Whew, that was a lot. And then the good parts were that I was able to expand professionally. I got to speak at AARP at their national headquarters in DC. That was amazing and just a great collaboration that I'm hoping will continue to grow. I got to speak at the Black Enterprise Women's Power Summit, which was amazing just to be in a room full of women of color, and just it was just a very different experience for me, and I really enjoyed it. And for groups like Google, it was really, really great to talk to the women's group at Google and share around Menopause Month. So that and a lot of other things, but those were like my highlights. And then finally, I launched my private label supplement line, Tula MD, which here's my little quick plug, is that they're clean, science-backed, well-sourced supplements. And they're basically designed to support women, especially those that are navigating midlife. And I really haven't marketed them. And that's really been intentional because I've used the formulations for years. I've seen the results. I only put my name on them because I knew that they were already excellent. And that's really what mattered. But down the line, I'm going to make it a thing. But if you're interested, go to the Tula Wellness MD website. And under supplements, it's Tula MD. Check them out. With the inner work I got to do this year, I did what's called a family constellation therapy. I don't have time to tell you all about that. You'll have to look that one up. That was a lot. And I had 2 nights of ayahuasca. I got in there. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of unraveling. There was a lot of truth. There was a lot of integration. There was no spiritual bypassing this year. I was like all the way in. I was all the way in. And I went there. I felt like, I had condensed my little scorpion transformative moment in a few days in the desert. But this year, that's been my scorpion year, 2025. So let's talk about the juicy part here, because I know I've been going on and on about my year, but I'm trying to also weave in the lessons I've learned and what I really feel like are just beautiful pearls that hopefully matter and you can take in and use on your own journey. But I also this year I started thinking about pleasure. I just had this curiosity and I just started going down these rabbit holes, barely scratch the surface, because I'm just like, oh yeah, I want to learn about that, because there's just certain things that just really light me up. So when I do say stay juicy, I'm talking about juicy lives, juicy experiences, and juicy vaginas. So I've been just really interested in the juicy vaginas lately. So I've been asking different questions like, how do we experience more pleasure? Like not someday, not later, but now. Because, again, I'm turning 60 and I'm like, what? If it's something you didn't do, listen, you better go start doing whatever you said you were going to do. Because I don't know. We don't know how long and I don't know how well. As this year came into a different view, I asked the question, how do I experience it more? And so during some of this thought, I was like, I realized how much judgment I actually had that maybe we carry about some things that we don't quite understand. I did go to the International Society for the Studies of Women's Sexual Health conference last year, and there was a whole section on kink and BDSM, and I just remember my initial kind of reaction to it. And then I realized wow, I'm clueless. The language was foreign. I didn't even know how to frame some of the questions. I just realized that, as a gynecologist, I was embarrassed a little bit for myself. And cause I was like, I feel like I should know this better. And you're supposed to be over here trying to stay juicy and you don't even know about what juicy is, apparently for some people. So I went home and I learned. I actually took this BDSM quiz. I think it's BDSM.com or something. Anyway, just Google BDSM quiz. And it's all about it's not about labeling you as anything. It just gives you a spectrum. Here's kind of where you are. This is kind of what you like. And so I just thought well, we all like different things. And who am I to say you shouldn't like certain things, even though I'm just wow, okay. So turns out, newsflash, I actually am pretty vanilla. This is, full disclosure. This is why I actually started this podcast, because I figure I'm a gynecologist and, personally, in my personal life, I'm, more introverted. I'm really not that person that's talking about, I mean, I am, but I'm not. There's a limit. There's an end where I'll stop talking. And I think around the sexuality part, I'm just not having a whole lot of conversation, or when people start sharing very, openly with me, I'm kind of like, oh, TMI. I don't really want to know all that. But I just, decided, maybe I do. Like maybe I need to learn more. Yeah. But anyway, I highly recommend take the quiz and see where you kind of fall on it. And it's actually, it's not a spectrum. It just kind of tells you you're vanilla or a dominant or submissive. And let me tell you, I was learning the difference between dominants and submissives. And submissives are not the same as slaves. And there's definitely, don't forget about those brats in there. So let me tell you, I got a whole new vocabulary that I understand. And so the year, it really, as I ended 2025 and I stepped into 2026, I am not interested in resolutions. I am interested in vision. I am interested in what my vision is, because once your vision is corrected, you can't unsee what's possible. So I've physically and metaphorically have gotten my vision in 2025. And this road to succeed really has been liberating, not because life has gotten any easier, just though because I'm choosing to see things differently. And as I step into this new decade, I am choosing pleasure. I am choosing joy. I am choosing curiosity. I am choosing life. And I leave you with this. If your vision was fully corrected, what would you finally allow yourself to experience? That's the question. That's the work. That's the vision. You can't even see what you can't see. You don't realize what you're missing. So if you're left with, well, how do I know my vision? That's the request. That is the request of the universe, to show you all of the things that your heart might desire or might want to see, right? So we can sit here and make a list and have our resolutions, but maybe there's a whole lot more. And maybe if we take the time, sit with ourselves and think not only about what we want to experience, like really be clear about that, but also allow for the invitation of the unknown, the unexpected. That's what we're doing in 2026, y'all. Let me tell you, it's already coming with a bang. Just saying. All right. As usual, if y'all made it to the end, please, you know the deal. If you are enjoying the show, this is not a show, actually. It should be a show. I'm thinking about putting that on my vision list, but I don't know. Sometimes I think I ask for things and then I'm not really sure that I want them. But I feel like this could be a show. If anybody is listening and decides that they need to produce me or do something and we need a show, feel free to reach out. But that said, share, please, and comments. I'm reading the comments. I'm actually reading the statistics. We are growing in numbers. I think we're like in the top 20% of Spotify podcasts. That's a start. I'm taking it day by day. And I'm appreciating having the opportunity to share with you all, grow with you all. Please remember that I am so on this journey the same, and I just get to be upfront and talking trash because I'm a gynecologist and I can like hide behind my MD. But I'm out here in the streets like the rest of y'all trying to figure this stuff out. Please trust and believe. I do not have it figured out, but it's all working out. As usual, stay brilliant, stay beautiful, but most of all, please stay juicy. And I will see you guys on the next one.